Okay. Well, I think we'll get started. And excited to be here. When you get asked to give a talk on how to balance your work and life, it means one of two things, I think. Either you're really bad at it, and this is an opportunity to think about it deeply and try to share some thoughts and improve, or you're okay at it, and maybe someone thought you could share some interesting, helpful ideas. So I think I'm somewhere in the middle, like many of you, and so I'm excited today and humbled to talk about what I can do, what you can do to improve our work-life balance. I will tell you that first, I'll tell you that I'm really uncomfortable. It's difficult to manage in person and online, so I'm going to do my best. So I apologize. Um, I a couple of disclaimers maybe before I jump in. I am not an expert on work-life balance. I don't study this, but I've had some experience. I've learned some things the hard way, maybe like some of you have, where one area of my life has been out of balance at times, and I've had to adjust and adapt and apologize and try to move forward and navigate that. So another disclaimer, I've really designed this to kind of be interactive, and it's going to be a little tricky to do this in person and online. We've got the majority online, so we're going to do our very best to still have some discussions. That was my hope today, is to have some discussions with you about where are we at, what can we do, how can we balance things a little bit better in our life. Another disclaimer, after I wrote this title, I thought it was a little catchy, right? And then I was in DC attending a leadership conference a few weeks ago, and somebody asked this question: hey, how do we balance our work life? And the presenter, she was very famous, kind of well-respected advisor to large companies. And the first thing she said was, I don't like that question. I don't like that term. It's we work and we live and we do them all at the same time. And so it's not really one or the other. And she gave a great answer. And I thought, well, darn. I think we'll still talk about it. I think you know what we mean. It's trying to figure out how to balance all of our responsibilities at work, at home, at everywhere else. So that's a little bit of my disclaimer. I'll also tell you that I'm in the boat. Okay. I'm here every day trying to figure out how to balance all these things, just like you are. And so my hope today is we can have some discussion and generate some ideas and simple things that you and I can do to be better at this and to feel better about how we spend our time. So to jump in here, I've got a question for you, and I wanted you to turn to your neighbor, which is going to be hard. So we'll try this. If you're online, just I think you can only chat, but please put some ideas in the chat. But I just wanted to hear as we think about work and life balance, I think it's helpful to step back and just think about what do you like and love about what you do, and why do you do it every single day, specifically work. So let's open that up. Any thoughts? Why do you love what you do? Why are you passionate about what you do at USU?
I want to go study abroad, and I just get to work with such students that go on this experience because they're so impactful, and I can talk about them. That's not my something that I do. It's so great to hear back about all those experiences have positively impacted their lives.
Awesome, thank you. What's your name?
Katie.
Katie, thanks. For those online, they probably can't hear the audience very well. Okay. Katie, thank you. She works in study abroad and said feedback she gets from students, seeing their experience makes her excited about what she does.
Saying,
I-
helping others, serving others. I think for me personally, it's like the community, like we built this community and family and it's just enjoyable to come to work. If you're gonna have to work, you might as well love the people that you work with, even though sometimes we have things that are difficult to deal with. I
Yeah,
don't think any of us are immune to that, but it's the communities, the people, and of course, seeing student successes, the things that you're doing to help them through.
very good. Thank you. I can see the chat, so I'll kind of watch the chat too. And then try to close it and open it and go back and forth. Thank you. I really like that. The community, building community, getting to know others that you're working with, building relationships with them, helping others. Thanks. Anything else? So I've seen a lot of that I've seen a common thread here, helping people, the people I work with, those I serve and work with. Andrea says, helping extension professionals improve others' lives. There is so much good happening in our communities. Graduate students that Gary works with and seeing them progress, people improve and change. Very good. Any other thoughts on that? Yeah, go ahead.
For me, one more selfish, so how it works for me. So I am an academic coach, and so I can work one-on-one with the student, but also when I'm in class, then I have the group, so I don't have too much of this, and I have colleagues that I work with as well, so I can, I don't know, I can do the individuals and also the group, perfect balance for me.
Yeah, very good. And your name?
Carolina.
Carolina. For those online, Carolina is mentioning that she gets to kind of use skills in different areas and work in a few different areas. And so that kind of helps her have diversity and be challenged and help people. Very good. See one other here from Melissa, coordinating events for people, doing the logistics so they can enjoy their events. Very good. Very similar to helping. So I'm hearing that you really like to help people and you really like to build communities and build relationships that brings joy in what we do each day. Thank you. I would say mine are very similar. That's why I get excited to go to work each day, is to help other people, which also helps me, right? It helps improve my skills, my abilities, and it helps me feel like I've contributed. I've helped a greater cause, a greater good, and helped others progress. So very good. Thank you. Keep that in mind when that balance gets tough and when you feel like maybe you're moving one way or the other. Okay. Next question. Okay, what is one thing that you do for you? It's just for you. This can be at home or work or anywhere. If you don't have one of these things, we'll talk about that. As you're thinking, for me, this was a hard thing. For many years, it was work and family. And when I was not at work, I was taking care of my family, spending time with my wife, with our kids, and didn't really take time for myself. And noticed over time that just kind of took a toll on physical, mental health. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, I started going to the gym and just scheduled regular exercise. And for me, it's been a life changer. It's the one thing, once a day for a short amount of time, I can just not think about anything else, all the craziness in my life, and just focus on doing something that makes me happy, makes me feel good, relieves stress. And so that's what I do. And I've done it consistently for about 4 years. And it's made a huge a huge difference. So that's one thing. That's one thing that I do for me. Anyone else want to share?
Listening to like a podcast that you might like, something that maybe gives you some personal development. I also like to train. I have a puppy, so I learned how to train a dog.
Awesome. Remind me of your name.
It's Carrie.
Carrie. Okay. Carrie, our facilitator, thank you, shared that she enjoys podcasts, training dogs, something she does for her. Awesome. Anyone else? I'll check online. Sorry, I've got to check both places here. Someone else, Heather also likes to listen to podcasts. Ruth likes to read. Melissa meditates, reads. Good. Anyone else?
I like to like crochet.
And Katie, right? Mentioned she likes to crochet or craft. Good. Melissa also likes to hike.
I like those things, but I like to sleep as well. So I thought about it all too. Well, we have naps, we have siesta time, and so I kind of lost that, living in the United States and also raising a family. But then now that my boys are older and I have that time, whenever I need to, after I do, my housework or whatever else, then feel like I want to take a nap, I take a nap, and it's wonderful.
Good. I love naps. Carolina
Yeah.
Carolina mentioned that she loves siestas, taking a short nap, just to reboost, and also family, just raising her family. So very good. Amy mentions she loves to swim. Paul, getting on dirty clothes and getting greasy and away from the desk. I am with you, Paul. I was raised on a farm. I work in agriculture. Sometimes if I can go sit in a tractor and or work physically outside in the yard or wherever, it just makes me feel good. Awesome. Thank you for sharing those ideas. If you don't have something that you do for you, or it's been a while, think hard about it. It doesn't have to be something grand. It doesn't have to take a lot of your time. It doesn't have to be something you do every day. But as we jump into this discussion about balancing your life, I think this is so critical that you have at least one small thing that's for you. Okay. I heard this advice recently, and I normally don't read quotes because you can read them, and maybe some of you are already starting to read this, but I'd like to read this because I thought this was some of the most sage advice that I've heard about balancing all of these things in our life. So I want to read. This is from a former university president, David Bednar. I can imagine as a university president, you have a lot to balance. And so this is what he said. He said, quit worrying about it. This question of can I achieve a perfect balance? He said, because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing. We can only do one thing in a given moment. So in the moment you're attending to blank, fill in the blank, at work, home, etc., you're neglecting something else, right? So he said we can drive ourselves crazy in every moment if we're always worrying about all the things we are not doing and never get anything done that really matters. So when you're at home, be at home. When you're at work, be at work, etc. Okay, so I thought I'd share that. I love that. So my question, the title of my talk, the answer is it doesn't really exist, right? There's no perfect balance of all the competing interests, the things that we have to do at work, at home, everywhere else in our life. And so I love that advice, right? Just be present in the moment, in the thing that you're doing, and do your best at that. Then you'll do things that really matter instead of trying to balance and do more than you can take on. He went on to give kind of an analogy of someone spinning plates. Now, it's been a long time since I've seen someone spin plates. I don't know about you. I think it was elementary school, maybe. where somebody came for an assembly and spun plates, and I was just fascinated. But he gives this example, and he said, imagine someone doing this, an acrobat spinning plates, and they'll get one plate spinning, right? And then they'll grab another plate, and they'll get the next plate spinning, and then they'll do another. And if they're really good, they can do a lot of those, right? But he said that it's impossible to keep every plate spinning at the same speed. It's not possible, right? And so they watch when a plate starts to slow down, they hit it again and speed it up, right? So they're always looking for those plates that need that extra little spin. He also said that it's, sometimes we get too many plates spinning, right? He said you might have 8 or 9 or 10 plates spinning, and you can't keep them all going, and you can't keep them all going fast enough. And so I appreciated this advice. He said, pick a few, 2, 3, 4, 5 plates that are the priorities, right? And just make sure that those plates stay spinning. The other ones may slow down, may stop, but focus on those few that you can keep spinning, and do that in the moment that you're there working on them. So I thought that was great advice. So we're going to take our first step toward implementing this advice, and we're going to do that by taking out your cell phone and turn it off. I know maybe you and for those online, this gets even trickier, right? If you can, I would highly suggest you turn off the other screen in your office. You turn off your phone. And if you can, just for the next 20 minutes that we're together, just focus on here and now, and thinking about what we're going to talk about, balancing our plates that might be most important. It turns out that turning off your phone is good for your phone periodically. And guess what? It's even better for you. I don't do this enough, but there are times when I shut my phone off because it's just I can't ignore it sometimes. It's just hard to ignore the constant banners, texts, messages, alerts, emails unread that I could answer at any moment of my day when I have a spare second. I'm sure you never do this. I'm sure you never see anybody do this, right? Anytime you have a spare moment, you go to your phone, right? So step one, we've made it. We're taking a break, right? Just take a small break from distractions, okay? We're going to talk about how we can make some changes, maybe small changes to help us create more balance in our life. But before we do that, I just wanted to ask what has helped you and identify which plates to keep spinning, which are most important. Any advice, ideas that you would share?
I make lists and then kind of based on those lists, then kind of rank the higher priorities. And then just kind of work down the list, and then those 2 or 3 things change to one thing, and then I can take on 2 or 3 more things, right? As you work down the list. But I guess I'm a list maker, I'm type A. So that's what helps.
Good, thank you. Tell me a third time your name and I will remember it. Carrie. Okay. Sorry. Carrie. Thank you, Carrie. So she said lists help her kind of prioritize what's most important. Maybe things that stay on the list longer mean they move up, they're higher priorities. Any other thoughts? Paul, thank you. Says setting goals, boundaries, and priorities. And any other thoughts? things that have helped you. Yeah, good.
So, I ask people what they want, like, my husband's birthday is coming up, and I lost the element of surprise. I'm like, okay, what is it that you would like? Well, this dessert or this other thing, because I can make it super fancy or whatever, and my eyes fancy, and then
Yeah.
take a lot of time, and then stress out because other things are not getting done. And so, by asking people, what would they like, then I get, I prepare what they want, and then
Mhm.
we're all happy, and so I think, yeah, not feeling like I have to be the one deciding, making all these decisions that will stress me out.
Yeah.
Then that, we're all happy.
And getting feedback, right?
Yes, yeah.
Do you mind if I shut that? A hard time. I mean, thank you. I appreciate that. So maybe asking others what their expectations are, and so that we know that and we can meet that without creating all this extra stress. That's good. Someone just a few weeks ago gave me that same advice. They said, even at home, like you mentioned with maybe a spouse, asking what the expectation is. Even at work too, asking other coworkers, supervisor, et cetera, what are the expectations so that we can meet those without having to create a lot of extra stress and trying to do above and beyond if it's not needed or valued. So thank you. I'm not seeing many other ideas. Hopefully you're finding these balances in your life, figuring out which plates you need to keep spinning. We're going to talk more about that the rest of the time, and hopefully you'll walk away with a few ideas about things that you can do to create that balance. Okay, so maybe some of you have heard of this book. As I've kind of thought about what I can do to create more balance in my life, I like to read self-improvement books. That's another thing I do for me. And this is one that I read recently, or actually I'm reading now. I'm not all the way through. And it's been a great help to me because I've tried for a long time to develop certain habits and just struggle to do that. James Clear wrote this book a few years ago called Atomic Habits. And I've just loved it. I've loved how he breaks down kind of what we can do to create better habits and make small changes that will lead to the things that we want, the balance that we want to achieve. So, and I bring this up because usually when we think about work and life balance, it often comes down to these little decisions and habits that we've created for ourselves, that we've done over maybe years and years. And sometimes it's hard to change those habits or break those habits. And so I've just found this to be incredibly helpful. So I'm just going to share a few things from this book about some ideas to start making some of those changes. So one thing that James in this book mentions is what causes change. And this was really interesting to me. So we've got this little diagram here where he shows three levels of behavior change. And at the center of that change is identity, what we believe about ourselves. Okay, and then you can see the outer circles. We got systems and outcomes. Outcomes are our habits, right? The things we do, the choices we make. And so he really stresses that if we want to make changes, say we want to be more balanced in our life, our work, and our home, and our family, and other things, he said we often may fail if we're just focused on the habits, right? I'm going to do this without changing the center or the core, which is our identity, our belief about who we are, who we want to become. And so he really stresses the power of this identity and says if that identity doesn't change, then our habits will not change. So he gave some examples, and I'm guilty of doing this, but he went through and said, you know, we've created identities for ourselves. Others have helped shape that identity, right? Has anyone ever said, I'm bad at this, I'm horrible at this, I always late, I always get the wrong directions, I'm horrible at math? Um, it's kind of like I'm sure you've learned about the growth and the fixed mindset, right? We have a fixed mindset about something, we're not looking for growth and change. And so then he really stresses the changing that identity by focus on what we want to become, what we want to change. So, for example, if you want to spend more time reading, rather than try to say, I'm going to read more, I'm going to develop a habit to read more. It's helpful to say, I'm a reader, right? To try to change your identity, focus on what you want to become. And then you can find things that help support what you want to become and support that identity. So, and this kind of goes along with this. He says that's he works with a lot of large organizations, individuals, and he said that's the biggest barrier is he's tried to help people make changes is that identity conflict, right? He said a good habit can make sense rationally, but if it conflicts with your identity, you'll fail. It just won't happen. And so it's important to kind of align your identity, what you want to become and be, with what you do, your habits. So he mentions 2 steps in this book, and the first step was focus on your identity. What type of person you want to be, what type of employee you want to be, what type of spouse, type of son, daughter, family member, you know, whatever you name it. There's a long list. And then the second step was to prove it to yourself with small wins. Okay. And then the rest of the book, and I'd encourage you to take a look at it if you haven't, talks about these 4 laws of change, of habits. So once you've identified, hey, I'd like to become a person that's always on time for meetings, right? Then he talks about how you can make that change. And there's 4 laws, 4 areas. And these help you make changes. And it's both ways, right? If there's a habit or something that you want to start doing, then he said there's 4 things. You can, a clue, it's the first law, a craving, a reward, and a response. There's this cycle that we're just constantly going through, right? And then there's things that can help support that or discourage it if we want to stop doing something. So, for example, he says you can help by making things visible, satisfying, attractive, and easy. Right? If you want to start doing something, start a new habit. If you want to stop doing a habit that you're doing, like biting your nails, being late to a meeting, you name it, whatever it is, checking your phone too much during work hours, being easily distracted, going home and being distracted by things that you are doing at work. If there's things that you want to stop doing, then it's just the exact opposite, right? Try to focus on things that make it invisible, repulsive, ugly, and difficult or hard to do, right? So, and what I really loved about this is that it focused on that system of change, right? Not just trying to use your sheer willpower to say, I'm going to stop doing this, or I'm going to start doing this to create more balance or to become this or that, depending on what type of identity you want to change. Because maybe we can do that some for a short amount of time, but eventually most of that fails, right? I'm sure all of us could give examples of things that habits maybe we've tried to change that just don't happen, right? Because maybe we missed something in this system, in these four steps, these four laws. And so, so I don't know. I just found that to be really helpful. I'd recommend take a look at that. He gives lots of great examples of how to make really small changes that will support your habits and your identity. So I wanted to do a little exercise, and this is going to be a little tricky, but we'll try. And this, I can pass out a few of these. So I've got this, it's really small. I apologize. You're gonna have to write small. Do you mind just handing those out? So I just wanted you to take a few minutes and think about all of your demands on your time, at work, at home, and focus. So for those online, I passed out this little card. This could be hard for you, but if you've got a piece of paper there at your desk, try to focus on this first piece, right? Is there something that you want to become, something you want to change about your identity? So think about that and try to write down one thing that you would like to change. I put an example there. This is one that I've tried to focus on for myself, being present at work and at home when I'm at those places. So I'll give you a few minutes, but just think hard and deep about what's something that you want to change about your identity. What's something you want to be or become. You can try to keep it to one thing. I could probably write a list of about 15. Try to focus on one that you're most excited about. Okay. Next, think about and write down just a couple things that support that identity and maybe discourage that identity. And as I mentioned earlier, quickly, just things that are supporting, think of things that are visible, satisfying, attractive, easy, that might support that identity. Okay, now on the flip side, think about things that do not support that identity or go against it or discourage it. These can be the exact opposite of what you just wrote for support, or they can be different. Okay, now last, try to put one thing. It can be one thing in each area, but try to jot down one thing that you can do to support that identity. This could be a habit that you want to start or you want to stop. But try to identify one small thing, small step you could take towards that identity. Okay. Hopefully that was helpful just to stop and think a little bit about what you do and all of the things that you do and want to be and become and all of the things that support or don't support that. Um, anyone willing to share what they want to be or become and one small thing they want to focus on?
As a support or discourage?
E-
Is that what you wanted?
Either way, so if you maybe can mention what you've thought of as your identity, what you'd want to be or become, and then one small thing, either to support or discourage. We're all friends here.
Be more intentional. I think when we work, we get home and then I'm tired, right? And don't do much. And so I made a goal, then a goal like is not to turn on my streaming services and just sit in front of the TV
Hmm.
as one of the options.
Yeah.
And then the other one is to actually make some goals of some things that I would like to accomplish within the home I am home, so that I have. So I just want to be more intentional with my time. Make my time matter.
Yeah. Thank you. It's Carrie, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Well, I cannot remember that. Thank you, Carrie. Not embarrassing at all. Carrie, for those online, shared that she wants to be more intentional at home. And some things she's going to do to support that is to turn off the streaming services when she gets home and maybe focus on, did you mention a list of things she wants to accomplish while she's at home to make her time there more meaningful? Thank you. I've got a lot of these, but that's one of mine as well. Just being more intentional at home and also at work. It's easy for me at work to get so focused on what I have to do and accomplish that I often will not pay as much attention to others as I should and need to, and don't develop relationships as deep as I could or should. And so for me, one thing to support that is when someone comes into my office, I try to immediately look away from my computer or turn it or do something so it's not there as a distraction, the computer or my phone, and just try to focus on the person that's there and needs help. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. And anyone else want to share things they want to be or become or and to do to support those or discourage those? If you're not feeling comfortable here, I would highly encourage you to share this with someone. Add a little accountability, vocalize it, just expressing it to someone I think can really help. And that's really my hope for you today, is that you'll walk away not feeling more overwhelmed, not feeling like, man, my balance in life stinks. What's wrong with me? How come I can't do better? But just trying to focus on one thing you want to be or become to change, and then one small step or two small steps you can take to encourage that or just discourage other things that compete with that. So as you're working on that, I'll just leave you with a few parting thoughts and things that have really helped me as I've tried to create balance in my life. And we've talked about a few of these, so I apologize if we hit a few of these again. But I think Carolina mentioned this earlier. Just asking people what they value most about time with them has been helpful. Fully protecting my time off, right? My most valuable time, weekends, holidays, trying to protect that. Scheduling time to completely disconnect has been another help for me. Finding something for myself. We've talked a lot about that. Trying to kick addictions to emails. This is a challenge for me. I really try not to check them on the weekends, evenings. Avoiding meeting fatigue. This happens a lot. There's options to schedule time in your schedule that's not consumed with meetings. For me, not relying too heavily on lists. I was always a list person, and I've just found recently sometimes it just overwhelms me and causes more stress because my list is always longer than I can ever get to. And sometimes I even make lists of things that I should start not doing, start dropping off, just to try to simplify life. So I love lists. I still use them, but just, I think some advice that don't rely too much on them. Focus on what really matters in the moment, what's most important. Also focus on building relationships. I think that's important. And then be intentional and stick with it. I loved this little figure from that same book, Atomic Habits. Our expectations and what actually happens, they never align. And it always takes a lot of time to make these changes that we'd like. But it's worth it. It is so worth it to focus on these small things, make improvements, and create better balance in our life. That's all my advice. That's all I have. If there's any questions, happy to take questions. If anyone has any parting thoughts or advice too, I'd love to hear that. Yeah.
Something that might help you, I don't know, but, so I'm the same way, I get home after a full day and I'm tired, and like, okay, I just wanna relax, or go take a nap or something. But, what I have done is like, I make a list, but it's short. It only has like 3 things I wanna accomplish when I get home. And so it could be I'm taking the dogs for a walk, or I just, empty the dishwasher, something that's not huge. And so at least I feel like I've done something, and then I can just go in my, and just do my relaxing things, and so, I don't know, a way to balance getting home and not just being a couch potato and getting something done, so I don't know.
I also heard that if you make your bed in the morning, that you've at least done something, that it gives you a sense of accomplishment. So that get up, make your bed, it's the first thing you do in the morning, that then when you come home, the bed's made, get into a nice bed, to relax. So that's one thing that I've kind of tried to implement too, so that you always feel like you've at least done one small thing, as you go about your day. Starts out your day good.
Thank you. So Carolina and Carrie were sharing some advice about short lists when you get home, a few things you want to accomplish, making your bed in the morning. My wife is religious about that, so I've become better at that. And I think it makes a difference. Just, yeah, good. Any other questions, thoughts, advice?
So when you have maybe like a life altering, we're not immune from various trials, but so someone in the family has going through cancer or another, maybe, something that, a death. And you're not trying to allow those things to affect you so that you can still do your work, you can still like go on with your day, but you have this like, kind of like Johnny Cloud that follows you with how, I mean, I'm looking for, meditation, people, praying, meditation, keeping yourself busy, going to work actually does help with some of that too, keeping yourself busy, but none of us are immune to those outside life stressors, and sometimes they can overtake you during the day, if they're very heavy. And so I'm trying to stay present when you have this, something that's, you're going through something. I'm just like, how you, I don't know, maybe we're just, and it's just part of life, right? It's just kind of part of life. How to make it through so that you're still getting, a good day's work and feeling good about your work,
Thank you. Those online, I wish you could have heard Carrie's question there. Her question was about when something really heavy and hard happens in your life and it just weighs on you. How do you balance? How do you still perform at work and do what needs to be done, cope, and get through those really hard times? I've got a few thoughts, but I'd maybe see if others do. Yeah, Carolina.
So, I'm just finishing, I just finished a cancer treatment, and I don't, what's your, I think what helped the most, had very supportive, coworkers and my supervisor. So she knew that there were some things that I could do, sometimes that I had to be away. And so that was good for me because I still wanted to do my work, so I'm not consumed by my thoughts at home. And so I just balanced it that way. And when I was at home, whatever I could do, I did, and whatever I couldn't, I just, let it go until I felt good enough to, my life is a lot better, now it's been a few months, so. But anyway, I think having good coworkers and supervisors that understanding, helped immensely.
Thanks, Carolina. So she shared that she'd recently gone through cancer treatments and reached out for help, right? Help from coworkers, supervisors to work through that. Carrie, that's similar to what I was going to say. I think that's one of the first and most critical things is sharing those challenges with others around you so that they're aware and can help you through those. Not that you're, broadcasting it so people will give you sympathy or, relax expectations or that, but just helping you to process through it, I think can be a big thing. And then I think it's important also just to remember that when those hard things happen, that we can take time to step away from some other things to deal with those. And everybody does that differently, right? Some like to just distract and work, and some like to just focus on it. But eventually you have to address the challenge and the issue and work through it. It's not going away. And so just, I don't know, that would be my advice. Remember that you can take time for you and work through it, however that works for you. And then ask for help, ask others to kind of help you through that.
There's
Lisa says, I have a hard time prioritizing time. When I actually do, I try to let people know I won't be available during that time, but it's hard to get some people to respect that. Any suggestions on what I can do not to feel guilty? Or more likely, I cave to their needs instead of my own? Again, Lisa, great question. I find myself, in that same boat often. One thing that I've noticed that a lot of people have done more and more is at the end of emails, they may put in there, that these are kind of my working hours. I realize that your working hours may be different than mine. I respect those, and I don't expect, responses. That's one little thing. I don't, sometimes I think that helps just to try to get that expectation out there that I'm not going to be available all the time, every day, after hours. There are some bounds to what our jobs could and should be. And so I don't know, trying to just be firm and diligent in those boundaries, and hopefully respect will come over time. I think also, try your hardest to respect other people's boundaries, and then hopefully that's reciprocated. But that is hard. John.
I think one important thing is you've got to respect the boundaries yourself first.
Yeah.
If you're constantly caving in and doing it anyways, then they're never going to respect it.
Yeah. Lisa, there was a comment, respect your boundaries too, and try really hard not to cave in, and just try to protect that time. Thank you. Thank you for all of your thoughts.